Back here on Titans Talk, getting to your phone calls tonight about the Titans' loss last night, 41-7 at the hands of the Buffalo Bills. Bills look like a Super Bowl contender. Titans look like a team in some trouble early on in the season. Our phone lines are open, 737-7767, as you see there on screen. And we'll go to Marty. Marty, thanks for the call. Thanks for waiting through the break. You're up here on Titans Talk. Hello, Marty.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, go ahead. You're on the air.
I don't understand about the Titans. Derrick Henry back there running. When they get in that shotgun, all them teams know he's going to get the ball. Why the fullback hit? Why they don't put him on a halfback passes or little screen passes, where he can get the ball like it? You put him in that shotgun there, they know they're going to get the ball. And their defense, the secondary, they can't cover no back. They got to get better on it. I don't know who's getting these players, man, but they got to be able to cover on defense. When the guys run out for them passes, they got to be able to cover. They can't cover, man. That's all I got to say.
All right, thanks. We appreciate the call, Marty. Look, the defense has to be able to cover guys better than they did. Christian Fulton wasn't available last night. Elijah Molden hasn't been out there the first couple of weeks of the season. If those guys can get healthy, that'd be a big help. But essentially last night you had three rookies. It was Caleb Farley, who technically is a second-year player but didn't play last year because of the torn ACL, Roger McCreary, and then Trey Avery, a guy who a lot of people didn't even think would make the team but is there and playing a key role last night and trying to guard Stephon Diggs. It was a bad matchup in that regard. The Titans need to get healthy at that position and several others. But they also have to help them out on the front end and get to quarterbacks and affect them more than they did. They did it in the first half against the Giants, less so in the second half, and really not at all last night against Josh Allen, who looked like an MVP. And offensively, there will be a lot of dissection of the play calls to Derrick Henry. They just have to find a way to get him going. It doesn't matter how they do it. They've got to find a way to get him the ball and let him make some plays, and then he has to go and make them. I think he had some opportunities to make some plays in week one against the Giants and didn't in the way that we're accustomed to him making. Last night, they were in the backfield a ton last night. And to the earlier caller's question, he had 13 carries. I bet half of them, the Bills made contact with him before he got to the line of scrimmage. That is not a good way to make a living if you're an NFL running back. So the Titans have to find a way. Screen passes, they got one to him last night. It was actually somewhat successful. Find a way to get him the ball. But they've got to get some big-time plays from Derrick Henry because the entire offense is dictated by him having success and the defense being focused on him and still being able to go do it. And right now the defense is focused on him. But between that offensive line and where he's at and his return from the injury and stuff last year and the lack of a passing game, the running game is doing nothing. And the identity of this team has been stripped away through 2 weeks. They got to get that fixed. Back to the phones we go. Say hello to Vincent. Vincent, good evening and welcome to Titans Talk.
Yes, I caught that game last night, and the thing it looks like right now, I'm not going to take the blame. Don't take the blame on all of the defense. Now, come on. The defensive line, when they got down to 30, 31, 32, or 33, they can stop that run and make them have to punt. But when it gets down, here's where we get beat at. It'll be 3rd and 9 or 3rd and long, and we get beat on that every time. It's the same as last year. We're in the same shape that we was in last year, giving up the third down big plays as we showed it last night. You got too many receivers last night going down running in midfield, not even 5 yards around them, and they're left wide open. Any college team can go out there and throw as good the way they throw against our defensive secondary last night. And for Derrick Henry, now look, if you have a hard time getting him to run with no blocking up on the line, you got to open up your offense. You got to put either a running back or fullback back in that backfield, 2-man backfield. Spread it out a little bit for like a screen pass so he can get that open line, open field run that he's good of. But if you're going to keep on handling in the ball and you're not getting no blocking up front, and then you're going to get like 20 yards like you showed last night. But they got to come up with some more other plays with him with the ball. He's going to open up that offense. We had a little extra tight end up there to do some blocking up and put somebody back in the backfield with him. But don't give up the whole season yet. We got a long ways to go, man. You got about 14, 15 games still left. So they can turn things around. But they just need to work a little bit more on the defensive secondary, cover the men, and or something get it better than they shown this year, because they back the same way they looked last year. But I got faith in them. They'll come through. They'll get it. They all get together. It just takes time, but just don't give up on them, because they'll find a way.
All right, Vincent, thank you. A lot of time to go. There's 15 weeks left in the season. As we mentioned earlier, the AFC South isn't very good. So even sitting there at 0-2, the Titans are just a game back of first place in the division. That could happen this weekend if you beat the Raiders and the Jaguars lose. So the Titans are in an okay position right now. It is not time for panic, but I think there is real cause for concern, because there hasn't been much to look out there and say, that's where this team is good. That's what they do well. Even in past years when they struggled and they lost, you knew what the identity was. You knew that they wanted to run the football. You knew that it was about running with Henry and play action off of that. You knew what was coming defensively. You can't say that through the first 2 weeks of this season. That's a concern. The one thing I'll say about the pass defense, and it was awful last night, but you're going back a couple years if you're talking about poorest pass defense and third down woes. Because the Titans were one of the better teams in the league at getting off the field on third down last year. They were particularly good in long third down distances. And they were great in week 1. And actually, for the numbers, they weren't awful last night against the Bills. They were bad in third and really long for whatever reason. They were better in the third and short, not good in the third and long. And that goes back to the pass rush, I think. Yes, we've already talked about the DBs. They got toasted by Stephon Diggs. It was not a fair fight. But part of that is you have to be able to affect the quarterback. And right now you're talking about a team that was supposed to have Harold Landry, and he's out for the season with the torn ACL. And you were supposed to have Bud Dupree healthy and wrecking havoc out there. And he missed essentially the entire game last night because of the hip injury. Now, we don't think that injury was too bad. We expect him to be back probably this weekend, if not the next weekend. That's huge for this defense. But they did not have the pass rush last night that you expected this team to have coming into the season. And they have to find a way to get it more consistently, especially until they get healthy on the back end. Because right now it is a lot to ask of a bunch of rookies, especially an undrafted rookie like a Trey Avery, to go out there and consistently cover elite wide receivers. And last night, Stephon Diggs toasted him because of it. Phone lines are still open, 737-7767. Before we get to a break, let's go to Titans safety Kevin Byard to talk about that defensive backfield and what he saw as the Titans gave up 34 unanswered points after the first quarter and suffered the worst defeat in the Mike Vrabel era at the hands of the Bills.
We knew he was the top target, you know what I'm saying? I just didn't feel like we did a good enough job of limiting him and his big plays, and we knew he was going to get all the targets, but he had 14 targets, 12 catches, so that's not good enough.
How do you keep this from snowballing into next week and the following week, etc.?
Yeah, man, we're going to have to play on Sunday, so just as a team, as a group, defense, offense, special teams, we're going to have to come together and practice as hard as we can. I mean, that's the only other way that I know how to go. Obviously, there's going to be a lot of questions and things like that, but we have to come together and be as tight as possible and just keep working. Obviously, this is a long year. It's only week 2. We got 15 more games left, so it's very early in the season, and we have to believe that we can get this thing turned around and just take it day by day.
How much was it then? How much was it you guys?
It was definitely a mix of both, but, I got to give them credit. I mean, they played a really great game. We felt like we was going to have to make them earn everything, and we did it sometimes, but then, in that second half, we really didn't make them earn anything. They were taking shots all down the field. miscommunications in the secondary and things like that. So they did a lot of things that we just didn't handle right, honestly, you know. It's just one of those games, honestly.
KB, as a leader on this team, what do you feel you need to do to kind of set the tone to make sure it maybe doesn't kind of spiral out of control? Like, how do you kind of approach going into such a critical week?
Yeah, I approach this week the same way I approached every week, which is practicing my ass off, meeting as hard as I can, you know, communicating with the guys in the meeting rooms, and, you know, I'm not going to switch up everything that I've done up until this point. I feel like we obviously have some things we need to clean up, but like I said, it's still early, man. But I still believe in this group, and I believe that we'll get this thing turned around. We just got to take it one day at a time, one game at a time, find a way to get one win.
You mentioned miscommunication in the secondary. I mean, how critical was that tonight, facing such a dangerous, passing offense?
Yeah, like I said, I mean, and some of it was a couple miscommunications there, but then some of them they were just winning their one-on-one matchups, you know. Like you said, Diggs had a really good game. But for the most part, I felt like we limited a lot of the other guys, limited the run game, but like Diggs just had a day. And, you know, when we're facing teams like that, when we know he's the number one guy, and obviously Gabe Davis didn't play, we had to find ways to limit his. I mean, we can't control if he's throwing the ball or not, but we got to find a way to limit those big yards and those big catches. And, I mean, 3 tugs isn't good enough for us.
The Titans could not stop Stephon Diggs. They did not limit the big plays last night, and they got burnt by Josh Allen and company, giving up those 41 points and suffering a big-time defeat on Monday Night Football. Disappointing effort there, too, just because it was the only Monday Night Football appearance of the year for the Titans. Guys, whether they tell you this or not, they appreciate those nationally televised games, the primetime games under the lights. It's a different stage. And last night, the Titans did not perform on that stage, and it was embarrassing. They flat out will tell you that themselves. They were embarrassed by the performance they had last night, and now they sit here at 0-2, having to come back this week and regroup. They'll be right back on the practice field tomorrow and right into a game plan to get set to take on the also 0-2 Raiders on Sunday at Nissan Stadium with a kickoff just after noon. Our phone lines are still open, as you see the number there on your screen, 737-7767. Call us up, be a part of the conversation here tonight. We'll also hear from Mike Vrabel straight ahead. This is Titans Talk on News Channel 5+.